Alrighty, what is going on, guys? We're back with a new video, and today we are going to be filming how to wheelie with no hands. Now this is probably my favorite trick that I'm able to do, and it turns heads. Everyone always asks how on earth do you do that, so that is the reason for this video. I'm going to do a quick demo first and then we'll get into a few of the steps, so hopefully you get something out of it, guys. Enjoy. Yewww! Alright, so the very first step is you have to know how to wheelie. Now I'm not going to lie, you do have to be pretty confident with doing normal wheelies first before you can attempt this, because you're obviously doing it but with no hands. So you do have to be pretty confident with sit down wheelies, not manuals, just sitting down and pedaling, holding the bars, shadowing your brake and that sort of thing. Now once you have those dialed in, you are going to first try and take off one hand. So we're going to start with a few tips that are really going to help you in learning to do this trick. Very first tip is starting on an incline. Now you don't want this to be a really steep hill, but you also don't want it to be flat or a downhill. It literally just has to be a slight incline. It's really going to help, and you have to make sure that you get that sort of a place to start at. Now the second thing is gear selection. Obviously you don't want a hard gear, but you also don't want an easy gear. You're going to be going pretty slow for this trick, so I recommend staying in maybe 4th or 5th. You still want to have a bit of power when you push through it, but not obviously your easiest gear. The other thing is seat height. Now you don't want to have your seat all the way up and you don't want to have it all the way down. I find for me having it in the middle is really good. The issue is if you have it up too high is that you don't have the leverage with your core to move around, because you really do need your core to do this. And if you have it down too much, you're not going to get the power out of your legs to be able to actually push the bike along when you don't have any hands on it. So with those tips in mind, the very first thing that you're going to want to do, you can obviously already wheelie, that's why you're watching this video. You're going to start taking off one hand. Now the hand you want to take off is going to be your front brake. Your front wheel's in there, so you don't need it, but you do want to be shadowing your back brake with your other hand. So for me in this case, it's going to be my right hand that's off the bars. So you want to start by just sort of taking your hand off, just little ones. And I'm going to give you a demo of what that looks like now, but that's pretty much the starting point to be able to do this trick, is taking off one hand, and eventually you'll get both. My slight incline is this way. This is my back brake, so my hand's going to stay on here, and this hand is just going to come off slowly. So you start your wheelie and then just try and take that hand off. So we'll go again. You're going to push, power up the front wheel, take off that hand just quickly and put it back on the handlebars. Now that is going to feel pretty scary to start with. You want to have your wheelie going for a little bit before you try it, and you can even do it a few times in the same one if you're really quite decent at wheelies, which you're going to have to be to go no hands. There are plenty of how to wheelie videos out there, so I suggest going and watching one of those if you don't know how to wheelie, because that is the very, very starting point of this trick. Now, you're going to want to take your hand off the handlebars for a lot longer. The more comfortable you get, the longer you'll be able to take your hand off for. So we'll give that a go now. It's basically, oh, like that, slid off the back of the seat. I find if you take your hand out and put it out to the side, you can use it to help you balance. So out here, not right in front of you, out to the side, just like that. Now, whilst you are still holding the bars with one hand for this, you are going to be pulling back on the handlebars to keep that front wheel up, and you will be shadowing your brake so that you don't loop out. Now, the tricky part is trying to explain where to go no hands. You have to be quite comfortable with going one hand, and pretty much to start the no hand wheelie, you want to already be in the wheelie, so you're not going to be doing it from the ground with no hands pushing up. You're going to be in a wheelie and then you're going to take your hands off. So I'm going to do a demo of that in the POV position so you get a better idea. I highly recommend you start this on grass, because you most likely will loop out once or twice. So you're going to start the wheelie and then hands off. Now, while you're doing this, you'll be activating your core to help you sit upright and lean forward to keep that front wheel up while keeping your bum on the seat, because naturally you're going to want to slide off the back of the seat. Now it sounds silly, but if you have a unicycle at home, try ride that, because that is a really good way on learning how to do this, because you're basically riding one just with a front wheel doing this. Now I'm in a slightly lower gear here, so it's a bit easier to go slower and do it. I'm gonna get a different angle for you guys so you can see what my body's doing. So get into your wheelie position, hands off, leaning forward, slightly lower gear this time, wheelie, get balanced, hands off, leaning forward a bit. I hope that makes sense. I know it probably looks a lot easier than when you're gonna try it, but years of practice is kind of the only way to nail this trick. It is quite hard. So you're pretty much going to want to be in your wheelie. You're not gonna wanna be all moving around and don't have a solid core. You're gonna activate your core, be nice and stable in your lower body. And once you have your wheelie stabilized, so you're going mostly in a straight line and you're not wobbling around everywhere, that's when you're going to start trying to take off your hands. You have to be in control before you try and take off your hands. You don't want to just do a wheelie and go for it, because it won't end well. Now, I was just chatting to a lovely gentleman called Sean, who actually helped me film those clips that you last saw in slow-mo. And I kind of mentioned to him, I was saying it's really hard to explain how to do this trick. And he was like, yeah, it's very hard when you kind of do it, you don't think about it, and you try and explain it, which is what I'm struggling with. But I think I've explained this quite well. A few things that I missed were the incline you're on is going to have to be quite steady. You don't want to incline going like this, it's just not going to work. And the other thing is finding the balance point. Now, I've failed to mention that, but that is kind of like one of the most important things with this trick. As I said at the start, you have to be really good at wheelies to even consider taking your hands off while doing one. So if you're good at wheelies, you're going to know where that balance point is for yourself. And you're basically going to want to sit just under the balance point leaning forward. And with your pedaling, that is what's going to keep the front wheel up. But if you obviously are on the balance point and you go too far back, you're going to loop out, and it's really hard to grab the brake that quickly to grab the back brake to bring it back down. So you're most likely going to go over. The other thing I'll mention as well is I am wearing clip-ins, and I think that this does help. I haven't actually tried this in flat pedals, and I probably should, but I haven't ridden flat pedals in like 10 years. So this is just how I'm used to it. If you want to know how to do this with flat pedals, let me know in the comments, and I will put some flat pedals on this bike and give it a go. But yeah, hopefully you kind of get the idea of what we're doing here, and just go out and start practicing. That's pretty much all it takes, is just trying it and failing, and then yeah, you'll pick it up pretty quick after that. So hopefully you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did and it was good information, make sure you comment that down below so that I know I'm saying the right things here, and hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you in the next one. Yewww! Ha ha.